This movie's called Boss Baby, and I'm going to introduce a couple of the producer, director, and then a very special cast member who came all the way down here just to say hi. So let's welcome to the stage director Tom McGrath, producer Ramsey Nato, and Boss Baby himself, Mr. Alec Baldwin. Welcome. Thank you guys very much for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Woo! Is this your first Comic-Con, Alec Baldwin?
This is my first Comic-Con.
What?
I've been to Comic-Con.
That is very exciting.
Please don't eat me. Don't eat me.
Translation, eat Alec Baldwin. So quickly before we show some footage, do you want to tell some folks about Boss Baby, and then we'll throw to footage, and then we'll ask some questions?
Yeah, this is great to take the opportunity because we have a test audience of about 4,000 plus. And we haven't shown this footage to anyone, and we thought we'd take the opportunity to show it to you. And it's a movie coming out called Boss Baby, based off a book by Marla Frazee about a baby who wears a suit, and it's a metaphor for when a baby comes into a parent's life, it's the boss, and it orders everyone around. We took this and turned it into a movie and centered it on these two brothers, one portrayed by Alec and one by a 7.5-year-old Tim Templeton, who's an only child and loves it, and then one day gets a baby brother, and who's no ordinary baby brother, which is, of course, Alec. And so just to set up this first clip we wanted to show you, the baby is delivered, but he's delivered in a taxi, and he walks up to the house and turns this kid's life upside down. And then
You say delivered, you mean he arrives in a taxi.
Delivered, arrives.
Right. He's not delivered as in he, comes out of the womb in a taxi. They pull up in a taxi.
In a shocking turn, an animated graphic birth scene.
Spoiler.
What Tom meant was he pulls up in a taxi.
Yes, he pulls up in a taxi. And one night, when the kid's awake and he hears some strange murmuring coming from the nursery, and this is when he finds out the baby can talk.
What was the origin story to get this from the book to turning into a movie?
All I had to say was, it's a baby in a suit voiced by Alec Baldwin, quite honestly, and it got a green light, which is
What
great.
you really said was, I wonder what Alec was like as a baby.
Yeah, true. It started from this children's book, and I kind of got together with Michael McCullers, who wrote the Austin Powers movies with Mike Myers, and we kind of did an elongated pitch on, this sibling rivalry story, which is very personal to me because I had a brother who's 2 years older than me. I was the boss baby in my family, and I tortured him, and we were very competitive, and brothers is an interesting relationship. I'm sure with sisters too, where you fight, and we had a tumultuous kind of upbringing. I know, Alec, you have brothers, and especially in your teenage years. And then after you get past that, it either makes you grow stronger or it separates you. In our case, it made us grow stronger. And I love him more than anything else on the planet, And so this is kind of a love letter for me to my brother, and a 50-year apology in the making about these, two brothers that hate each other at first, but then grow to depend on each other. And that was kind of the pitch from the movie, and that's how we got it off the ground.
How'd you get on board, Alec?
I had done Madagascar 2 with DreamWorks and with Jeffrey, and then I did Rise of the Guardians with them as well. And Rise of the Guardians. I'm kidding. No, I had a lot of fun doing them with these folks and with Tom, and they came to me to do Boss Baby. And I really love working with these guys, and I love how it changes and grows over time. We record this, I think we do the voices for this and the animation for, what is it, about 12, 13 years it takes to make the movie?
Yeah, I started in junior high.
Yeah, we started this, I was in my 40s when we started this. And,
Child prodigies.
yeah, and my voice has changed a lot since we first started. It's been but computers can fix all that. And No, but we do it, and it's great. I love working with them, and I watch this, and I realize that the voice contribution is just one little thing. The animation you can see is just incredible. They did an amazing job.
Well, the thing about Alec, just to say, we did work together on Mad 2, and the thing about Alec is he gives you 2 lines to every one that's written. And I just remember how much he improvised stuff we couldn't use in the movie. But you played a lion who wanted to rule the roost and all the other animals, and you just come up with stuff like, let's drain the watering hole so I could build my presidential library, and these kinds of lines. And it was just hours of material that was great. And it was like always, at least in my mind, was like Alec needs to star in his own animated movie. And when we came to casting with Jeffrey Katzenberg, we kind of both looked at each other at the same time and said Alec, and we did a baby test with some lines from Glengarry Glen Ross with a little baby that I had mega mind, and all I had to do was show that to anybody, and it just cracked him up.
The baby says Cadillacs for closers? Is it?
Yeah, or
Always
coffees
be
for closers.
pooping, I think we said.
Yeah.
Always be pooping.
And so it's great to have this opportunity to finally, have Alec as the star of a movie.
I hope you release that footage, by the way, just as a fun extra thing, like when the movie.
I hope not.
There's some language issues maybe, but...
Ramsey, what can you tell us about the rest of the cast? Because I saw the list, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, we're so lucky. Steve Buscemi is joining as the villain.
Yep.
He plays Francis E. Francis, who is a maniacal executive. And his voice has such range. He's a commanding adult, but he can really turn up this pouting, petulant baby inside. And then we have Lisa Kudrow and Jimmy Kimmel joining as mom and dad.
Yep.
It's very exciting. And, they're both warm parents. Lisa is, she commands she knows how to manage the house, manage the boardroom, and she knows how to, throw down the hammer like moms do. And Dad is this warm, kind of like, loving father with a hint of deer in the headlights, which is hilarious. So.
Did I read Is Patton Oswalt in the cast as well? Did I read that?
Patton is, possibly.
Oh, shoot. Well, I mean, nothing.
I just wanted to mention that the
But we have-
kid,
yeah.
the kid that you heard is Miles Bakshi, and he's the grandson of Ralph Bakshi. And Ralph had given me my first job in animation in the late '80s, and thought I could return the favor, giving him his grandson the first job.
I stood in line at WonderCon to get a Wizard cell signed by Ralph Bakshi. That's amazing.
He may show up.
Alec, are you one of 6 kids?
6.
6. So what can you tell us about, what's the Baldwin sibling rivalry all about?
Well, I like to say to myself, I'm here and they're not. Oddly enough, one of my brothers is at the Republican convention as a supporter of Trump. That's okay. And my other brother is there protesting Trump. No, it's really weird. My 2 brothers are there on opposite sides of this political spectrum, and I'm here wearing a diaper and telling people what to do.
I've always said there's a Baldwin for every occasion. Like any occasion.
It really is bizarre how
there's
that
a
works out
Baldwin
that way.
for. What did you kind of have the idea? Like, did you kind of knew right away what you want to do with the character, or did it evolve over time?
Well, I always, a lot of times I do these films and they want you to play these characters where you're like straightening everybody out. You know what I mean? They're very tough characters. And, the older I get now and I've got little kids, I've got 2 little kids of my own and a 3rd one coming in a month. It's like, if you say so. I'm up to my chin in little children now. It's crazy. And so for me, it's like I'd rather just be in a pool with my kids or reading a book under a tree or something in the summertime and, in my life. But you have to be that guy. You have to kind of channel that guy. So I meet with Tom and Ramsey, and I drink like 10 espressos and drive them completely up the wall with all my improving and everything. But it's fun. I mean, I really feel like, you got a job to do when you have to play that kind of very forceful character. And but when you see the movie, you'll see, I don't want to say anything, but you'll see the arc of the character and how it changes over time.
Excellent. Tom, how are you, so with a movie like this, obviously there's, you get a lot of jokes, you get a lot of improvisation, but obviously it's important to make sure that you keep the film grounded and have heart to it. So how do you keep the film human and balance out the comedy elements?
Well, you always hit it with the personal story, you know, for me, the attachment is my relationship with my brother, and any good comedy always has to have a spine to it, you know, and a solid arc to it. And I think, like, hopefully, if we do our job right, people will hopefully feel something at the end of this movie, even though it's got a lot of comedy wrapped around its shell, because it's pretty universal, our relationships with either our brothers, our sisters, our parents, or a boss that, you know, we have issues with. So hopefully this will touch a lot of heartstrings, and they say that comedy is the doorway to the heart, and Alec brings both, I think, pretty clearly in this movie, hopefully, and we'll see about that.
Excellent. And then lastly, I just want to talk about the look of the movie, too, because it looks very specific.
Yeah, you know, I think when I was a kid and growing up with animation, you know, you go to the theater and go to see a Disney movie like Lady and the Tramp or Peter Pan, and they transported you to a magical world. And I came in on the cusp of, you know, from 2D, I learned 2D into 3D was kind of changing, and everyone was striving for realism in their movies. And so they're putting fluorescent lightings in an animated film just because it feels more real. And on this film, we really wanted to go the other way and bring back kind of that magic of an animated movie that I remember from the 60s and 70s and that sort of thing. So having a kid's imagination, a 7.5-year-old imagination, we're taking a lot of opportunities to do a heightened reality, which are more like Chuck Jones or Maurice Noble or Jay Ward, if you know these names, who were kind of pioneers and really took the medium to a more fantastic place. So we're trying to go back to our roots in a way, instead of trying to push the realism, is make it more really a cartoon or what we loved about animation.
Excellent. Anything you want to...
I just want to add that, you know, when Tom mentions this, because we would talk about this, you know, when I was a kid, you know, cartoons were of a certain style and so forth, and a certain complexity. And in college, once we had a speakers bureau where I would book speakers to come to my college, and we had Mel Blanc come. And there was just really this amazing thrill to just driving him from the airport. We went to pick him up at the airport, and we didn't pressure him to do any of his stuff because he saved it for the show. But, you know, I grew up in a world where there was that kind of clever lines that they'd have even in children's thing, you know, Bugs Bunny singing, you know, every little breeze seems to whisper Louise, you know, all those crazy songs they had Bugs Bunny sing from movies. And but for now, when you do these films now, what's great for me is that these are the best people in the business. You know, there's a lot of good animation companies out there right now, and when they ask you to come and do something, you know, obviously there's Pixar and other companies like that, but it's been a great pleasure for me to work with these people and to be able to be a part of a project with the people that are like right at the top of the business. And you see this animation, it's just extraordinary to me.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, animation, I think, is... I think people... Yeah. Oh, yeah, you should applaud that. You should applaud extraordinary things. Animation really is a culmination of so many great pieces of art coming together between, you know, voice acting. You essentially just have to use characterizations of your voice, and then you have to form a relationship to create that, and music and art and everything else. What is, just kind of going down the line as we wrap this up, what's your favorite part of the process?
I think well, there's 400 people that work on one of these films, and it starts with working with the writer and then working with Alec. And then the animators are also actors themselves. And we have about 60 on a movie, usually, by the end of the day. And just working with artists is the great joy in it, because it really is about the process. It's like any probably band that plays a song over and over, and you're probably sick of the song, but people hopefully will love it. And so the joy is in the process of working with all these creative people, because by the time the movie's out, I've seen it 10,000 times, and I take the joy in making it, as opposed to, you know, waiting for it to, you know, be a hit or a miss or whatever. So it's really playing into the now of making a film with great artists.
Excellent. What about you, Ramsey?
You know, and making animated movies takes a long time, and it's a very collaborative, iterative process. And my favorite part is definitely the collaboration. You know, with I would echo what Tom said, with the writers, with the story artists, with the actors. You know, it's definitely the collaboration.
Alec, what about you?
When Katzenberg calls you and tells you he likes the screening that he just saw. That's always a good moment.
Excellent. Boss Baby comes out March 31st of
right, yeah.
2017.
So thank you so much for being here. Thanks to Tom McGrath and Ramsey Nato and Mr. Alec Baldwin for coming all the way to his first